Hello and welcome. This is After Food, and I'm the host, Chris Madsen. This is my channel, which is all about ketogenics. Just a little bit about myself. A year ago, weighed almost 300 pounds, and I lost a significant amount of weight doing what I call a ketogenic lifestyle. I don't like to refer to it as a diet because it doesn't seem like a diet, and that will make sense if you watch my videos. I get lots of questions all the time asking for advice, and I kept telling people I was going to do this and do a kind of video log. So here we are, video number one. So the first thing, let's just get into what is keto, okay, and some of the questions I get a lot. So the first question I get is, what kind of food do you eat? Well, the main staples of this diet, it is a high healthy fat diet. So things like grass-fed butter, free-range eggs, avocado oil, coconut oil, things that are going to have a lot of healthy fat. You want to consume about 70% of your caloric intake should be healthy fats. So I eat a lot of that stuff. Now that might seem like strange to you if you come from like the glucose or the what I call the old food pyramid world. But it's really, it'll make sense once you listen to the videos and you look at some of the science behind it. So what does that mean? Well, for breakfast, I have things like an egg omelet stuffed with any of the following, and I have a list here: mushrooms, sausage, ground beef, bell peppers, mozzarella, spinach, cream cheese, bacon, you name it. Or you could do scrambled eggs with cheese and bacon. We do ketogenic pancakes sometimes, keto waffles, which again, those are just tweaking the recipe a little bit, almond flour instead of regular flour. Broccoli cheddar soup, you can have that for breakfast. Lunches and dinners, garlic parmesan wings, bacon cheeseburgers without a bun, stuffed mushrooms or stuffed bell peppers, Jamaican jerk chicken over cauliflower rice, steak over garlic cauliflower mash, chicken and asparagus, salads with low carb dressings like full fat Caesar dressings, or low carb ranch, or a French vinaigrette. There's actually one, I think it's Brianna's is the name of the brand. I'll put it down in the description. It's a French vinaigrette that has zero carbs, has no carbs at all. Which those that are in the keto world, we're always looking for the zero carb things because, anytime you can free up carbs, that's a good thing. Ketogenic tacos. My wife has a great recipe for ketogenic pizza that literally takes less time than a traditional pizza. And then, for desserts, because of course a lot of people, once you hear low carb, you think, okay, I'm not going to be able to have sugar. And a lot of people, start to get concerned that they're going to miss out on their chocolate and stuff like that. Now, in the beginning, I always suggest people try to stay strict, but there are definitely some sweets that, can be consumed while eating a ketogenic diet. Lily's chocolate, which I believe is across the United States now, definitely is here. I live in the state of Florida, and we have Publix across the state of Florida. And I think every Publix I've been in has Lily's chocolate, but it's made with stevia, and I'll talk about stevia on another video. But it's a great sugar substitute because it's very sweet. It does have a little bit of an aftertaste, and some people complain about that, but I've actually found if you try some of the different brands of stevia, they all are slightly different tasting. So find one that you like, and there's powdered and there's liquid. So, but yeah, you can definitely have Lily's chocolate in moderation. There's mug cakes, bulletproof coffee, which is awesome, and many more things. So we'll, on the other channel, the Hidden Hovel, we'll be doing recipe updates constantly, as frequently as we can right now. I mean, we do have 4 kids, so this becomes difficult to produce these things. But we're going to start off slow. If we can get, a lot of people kind of backing this, then we'll continue to ramp it up and make more and more of these videos, because our goal here is really to help people. I'm not here to sell you some sort of weight loss miracle drug. We're not here to promote products because we're hoping to get some kind of endorsement deal. There's nothing like that going on. Any advice that we're giving you, we're giving it to you because it's things that we've learned going through this process. Again, I weighed 300 pounds. I lost over 100 pounds in less than a year, just by eating this way. And again, it does not seem like a diet. That's why I call it ketogenic lifestyle. I really feel like it's just a lifestyle change. So you hear low carb, you hear high fat. A lot of people say, but isn't that just the Atkins diet? Wasn't that terrible for people? So on and so on and so on. Well, first of all, it's similar to the Atkins diet, but there's some changes, okay, tweaks in the macros, as well as tweaks in, we know more about, fats and cholesterol and things like that. So just the food that's recommended is slightly different than the Atkins diet was. But the other thing I've learned from my research is that Dr. Atkins did have quite a few things correct, but what was happening at the time, and what I'm worried and scared might happen to keto, is once it became kind of a diet craze, they started slapping Atkins on things that were not Atkins. In fact, there were books that were written that you open up the book and the information inside is not Atkins. I mean, there's high carb things that are suggested to you, and things that don't make sense, like don't eat leafy greens. I remember watching a video that Dr. Berg had done on YouTube, where he had said that he found this book that's was an Atkins book, and it said don't eat leafy greens, which obviously makes zero sense. So so I guess it is similar to the Atkins diet. Now the next thing is, well, isn't that bad for you? Well, no, it's not. The thing that you have to understand is this will lower your blood pressure. So if you're somebody who already struggles with low blood pressure, then yeah, this could affect you adversely. But the majority of Americans, like myself, I had high blood pressure. I had hypertension. So when I went on this diet, the first thing I noticed was, oh my gosh, my blood pressure dropped. And of course part of that was the weight loss. But even before the weight came off, I mean, I wasn't on it for very long. I maybe had lost 20 pounds at the time, and my blood pressure went down significantly. So, and that has to do with inflammation. And again, I don't want to get too sciencey in this video because this is kind of the beginner's guide, but I'll go down those roads so that you can understand some of the science behind it. Look, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. So I think that actually kind of helps me be able to discuss these things because it's going to be in layman's terms. I try and present everything factually. I'm sure if I get something wrong, people will comment all over it, and I'll make sure to put corrections in the video if that's needed. So, but yes, it is similar to the Atkins diet. Maybe you could call it Atkins 2.0, but they took all the good things that Dr. Atkins had done and took out all the bad stuff, and I feel like kind of made a better way of eating a lifestyle. Don't you need carbs? That's the next thing. I get this a lot from people in the medical field, and maybe people that, old school nutritionists. Your body needs carbs. You got to have carbs. No, I mean, it's good to have fiber from what I understand. I mean, there are some carnivore keto guys that might disagree with that, but I think that fiber is good. I know I heard Dr. Perlmutter talking about the gut biome and the benefits that fiber has to your gut biome with the probiotics and things like that, because if you just ingest probiotics but you don't take in fiber, from what I'm to understand from the research that I've seen, that that you can lose some of that good probiotic in your gut because they're not feeding on anything. So but to say, do you need carbs? No. In fact, Dr. Eric Westman out of Duke University, I watched one of his lectures recently in South Florida where he was at a university speaking, and he had found a medical journal from the early 1900s that had people that were on no carb diets. In other words, they were coming to these doctors and they had no carbs in their diets, and they were perfectly healthy. So to say, do you need carbs? No, because you can make ketones. I mean, you need carbs when you're glucose based, right? But As soon as you kick into a ketogenic kind of fuel, then you don't need it. And just to kind of explain that, so there's two things that our bodies can run on. You can run on glucose, or you can run on ketones, and I kind of compare it to cars. You have cars that run on unleaded gas and cars that run on diesel fuel. Now you can't put diesel fuel in an unleaded gas engine, right, or vice versa. And that's similar to this. So most of us, we're all on this glucose diet right now because that's what's pushed right now from the medical community, and has been ingrained in us, a little pun there, since we were little. But once you switch to ketogenics, you're gonna go through what they call the keto flu, which you can take electrolytes and things to try and overcome that. But usually you get all these like really bad side effects. Well, that's because you're coming off of all of that sugar and carbs that your body's used to, and you start generating these ketones, and you're basically changing from an unleaded gas over to diesel fuel. And I think that analogy works really well too when discussing this, because we're finding that ketogenic dieting is really good for endurance runners, and as diesel fueled cars usually get better gas mileage, so it all kind of makes sense. But so that's the difference between the two. So you do need fat. We know that your brain runs on fats. You have to have fat, and you have to have protein. But of course, even in a ketogenic diet, it's protein in moderation. About 25% of your daily calories is protein. If you actually have, and this is a funny thing too, I've had people that go on a ketogenic diet and then they have trouble seeing results right away. And I'll ask them, well, what are you eating? And once I get a list of the stuff that they're eating, I find that they're eating a ton of protein. Like 50% of their calorie intake is protein, because they're eating lean proteins like chicken and fish and things like that, and they're not adding any fats, because again, we've been told, lean, you want no fat, low fat. And so they think that's healthier, but really it hurts them because their macros get all messed up. And actually, and I believe it was Dr. Westman who discussed this, but I'll double check that. But I had seen a video where they were talking about how if you have too much protein, you can actually kick yourself out of ketosis. It can actually cause an insulin jump in your blood, which would obviously kick you out of ketosis. And so but it has to do with your macros not being right. So if 70% of your diet is fat, and 25% is protein, I actually like Dr. Westman's thing on 20 grams or less of carbs a day. That's what I did when I started. I found that honestly, especially when I was really big, I could have had a lot more than 20 grams of carbs and still stayed in ketosis. In fact, I did, and I tested that a few times. But that's a good rule of thumb, especially starting out, just to make it easy for yourself. Another thing when you're starting out would be MyFitnessPal. It's a great app for your phone, free to download. You can go on there, you can put in the things that you're eating. It will give you your macros. You can set goals for yourself within the program. And I know it seems cumbersome, and a lot of people are going to tune out when they hear that, but just do it for a short time. I mean, I think I did it for maybe 3 weeks to a month before I really kind of got it and understood, okay, this is what I can have, and this is how I can hit my macros. Actually, when I stopped using MyFitnessPal is when I found myself at the end of the day going, wow, I have a lot of carbs that I could consume right now. Maybe I want to have a little carbs. And that didn't make sense. Why am I finding an excuse to eat carbs? So that's when I kicked the MyFitnessPal away. But, start off strict, get results first. Because the thing that is going to turn you off to any kind of lifestyle change is if you're not seeing results, if you're not feeling better, if you're not, and again, for me, it was more internal. It wasn't about the looks and necessarily the weight loss. I mean, for me, I had neurological issues. Like, I used to suffer from terrible migraines. Obviously, I had the high blood pressure issue. I had a lot of internal stuff going on, which also pushed me towards ketogenics. I mean, I've got diabetes that runs in my family. So there was other reasons for me to go on keto other than weight loss, but I get it. If your goal is to lose weight and you've been doing this for a while, a month or two, and you're going, I'm not losing any weight, you're going to get frustrated. So I would recommend, starting strict, no more than 20 grams of carbs, 70% as fat, 25% as protein. Make sure you're tracking everything. and or try to get as close to those numbers as possible. You don't have to be exact, but then you can get the strips, and you can get the blood test to see if you're in ketosis. Sometimes those can also be discouraging. I never used them when I started, just so everyone's clear on that. I actually only started using them later on, just to test some things here and there to see if there was something I could take in, like maltodextrin or dextrose, if that would kick me out of ketosis, because they started adding that as additives to some of our more keto type sugar substitutes like stevia, or maltodextrin. So I used to check those just to see if they were affecting me, but no, I never used those strips in the beginning. You can if you want to, but just to see if you're in ketosis. But I feel like if you use those and you see that you're not as deep in ketosis as you think you should be, then it's going to make you not want to continue the lifestyle change. So I don't really recommend that. But just track your stuff, stay strict, and then later on, there's fat bombs, there's all kinds of great stuff, snacky type food that you can start adding back in. Benefits of keto. Well, I've gone over a few of those, right? There is a whole slew of things, research that has been done and research that is currently in the works, having to deal with all of the benefits of ketogenic dieting. A lot of our chronic illnesses, things like diabetes, things having like neurological disorders, things like epilepsy, MS, anything that has to do with inflammation, we're finding that ketogenics is really good at treating those things. Obviously diabetes, because you're cutting out all your carbs and sugars. And Dr. Westman is an awesome resource if you're looking for the diabetes side of things, because that is like one of his specialties. He spends a lot of time talking about the effects of ketogenic dieting on diabetics. So I definitely recommend going on YouTube and looking up his videos and lectures. Yeah, there's a whole slew of things. I'm not going to get into all of those right now because I'd like to break those up into separate videos. For me personally, it was the weight loss. I had knee pain, that was gone. I had the migraines, those were gone. The high blood pressure, that was gone. Mental clarity, focus, all of those things. There's something called brain fog, and it's very strange. And I've had a few people that have gone on a ketogenic diet have definitely told me that it's like once they've gotten into ketosis and they've started to transition into this type of lifestyle, it's like they woke up one day and they felt like a fog was lifted off their brain. They had this more mental clarity, and that's definitely not uncommon. I mean, I've had other people tell me that it didn't really necessarily happen to me. I do feel like I'm more alert, especially when I've taken in a lot of healthy fats and things in the morning. I'm like ready to go and jump out the door, run through a wall because I've got so much energy. MCT oil and stuff like that is great for boosts of energy in the morning as well. So those are the benefits, and that's kind of the, I guess, quick rundown guide, if you will. Again, the number one thing people are going to ask for is recipes, and we're going to start doing recipe videos on individual recipes over at our sister channel, The Hidden Hovel. But this After Food channel, I'll be going through the science of ketogenics, and anything involved in or around it. I love to get feedback, so please comment down below, like this video, subscribe to our channel. We're really trying to build this into something that is going to help other people. I mean, my life has completely changed. Not only am I on this, not only is my wife on this, all of our kids eat ketogenic. My grandparents, my wife's parents and her side of the family, her brothers and sisters. My dad's a very stubborn guy, and he's already lost over 65 pounds eating a ketogenic diet. And if we can do it, you can too. It really has changed my life, and I hope that this video is helpful to you as you start to navigate and try and figure out what ketogenic lifestyle is going to be for you. So thank you. Like I said, please comment down below, subscribe, and have a great day and a happy new year, because it's January 1.